Hi everyone, Susan Seiler here. I am doing a math video for you today on a technique to help your students master the math memory work for CC. And this particular technique happens to be for skip counting, but you can apply it certainly to the math multiplications tables. But first I'd like to talk to you about an overall strategy. My overall strategy for mastering this math was to isolate each number set until mastered, and then adding in only one new number set while reviewing the previously mastered ones. So this technique of isolation of new number sets was very, very effective. It helped to truly prevent a lot of the jumbling that happens when you're trying to learn too many new things at one time, and it really helped lessen the feeling of being overwhelmed and frustration that my student had. So, and it helped us to be successful. We definitely were far behind what CC was doing, what we were doing in class, and that was okay. He still was introduced to it within the classroom, but at home we took it slow and steady. And as you may or may not know, my son ended up mastering all of this math and the other subjects within CC to become a memory master. So I can tell you this from our experience, this really does work. So no matter what technique you use, I encourage you to use the strategy of isolating new content. Okay, so let me show you the technique that we used. I got a paper folder that had 3 prongs in it. I put in sheet protectors. Within each sheet protector, I stuck a piece of plain white paper, and that sort of acted as a whiteboard for me. So then I used a wet erase marker to write down the number set, as well as draw a line for each number within that set. That way, it would stay when I went to erase, see? Then I used a dry erase marker to write down the remaining numbers within the number set. Then we would practice them. My student would sing or say, mostly sing, the skip counting song while pointing, using kinesthetic pointing to each number where it was located, or if we had already erased it because he had mastered a portion of it or all of it, he would still have to point to where the number would have been. So he's getting in multisensory in this practice. So he would say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, etc. And as the numbers were mastered, we would erase them. And there definitely was time that he would get stuck on one, you know, maybe he would always say 16 there, but he had all the rest of the numbers mastered. So having only the number 14 remaining would really help him remember that that was 14 and not 16, just as an example. So once this was mastered, once the 2s were mastered, we went on to the 3s, and he would do his 3s. Again, we would have all the numbers written down until some were mastered, and we would erase the ones that were. He would do his 2s and 3s, practice those diligently every day. And then once those were mastered, we moved on to the 4s. And you can see here that these numbers were more difficult for him than the other numbers, and it was really helpful to be able to have those on there. And certainly to be able to go back and write them down if, you know, maybe he had had this as 24 before, but as we continued on in the skip counting, he got confused and sometimes would say 21 or, you know, 23, to be able to go back in and to write down